And it's a good afternoon and welcome to You and Your Business with me, Alec on 103.2 Dublin City FM. Each week I invite an expert from the world of business to share their knowledge, insights and tips to help you with your business challenges. If there's a topic you would like covered or if you feel you can make a contribution, please email me at yourbusiness@dublincityfm.ie and perhaps we'll be having a chat here one day soon. My guest today, having had a career in environmental consulting, set up a publishing company in 2014. She helps aspiring authors navigate the complex route of self-publishing and is dedicated towards helping clients create books that they can be proud of. I'm delighted to welcome Orla Kelly to the You and Your Business studio. Hi, Orla.
Hi, Alec. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and thanks for a lovely introduction.
You're more than welcome, more than welcome. And we have a topic I know will engage a lot of our audience. Let's take you back though, as the format of the show takes people back to their last year in school. And really what we're trying to find out here is, were you the academic? Were you the person who wanted to travel, or did you want to get straight into the workforce and start earning some money?
No, I was an absolute academic. I loved school. I thrived in school. I really excelled and was totally in my comfort zone at school.
Fantastic. Okay, well, you're totally different to me. So that's a good starting point. So had you got a career route planned, or were you going to wing it?
I wanted to become a chemical engineer, but unfortunately I picked the wrong subjects. But you know, I think everything ends up being a blessing in disguise in the end, because I went into the science field instead and became an environmental consultant. And that's actually how I met my husband. I was contracted to work in his company, and I would never have met him if I was a chemical engineer, because our paths, I'm sure, would not have crossed at all, because I was contracted to a different part of the country. So we would never have met.
Well, there we go. Well, there's an added bonus. Chemical engineering is not something I sort of think of when I'm thinking of the leaving cert. Oh, I must be a chemical engineer. What on earth attracted you to that sort of career path initially?
I always had a very inquiring mind and wanted to figure out how things worked, and I loved chemistry. I almost could see in my mind molecules interacting, things being formed, things being created. I just really thrived on that. And I suppose one of the benefits of working in environmental consultancy is you work in all different industries.
Sure.
And I did get to work, you know, with a lot of chemical engineers and process engineers. So I got a bit of what I always wanted to do, but helping them more from an environmental perspective.
I think there's a very important point you've highlighted there, though. You ended up being involved with subjects in school that weren't complementary to what your career choice was, and how easy that can get overlooked.
It absolutely can get overlooked. Now, the one good thing I always say, because I mean, I have children, my son's in leaving cert, my daughter's in junior cert this year. And I suppose just from learning myself, people don't look at as jobs for life anymore. If you make the wrong decision, you know, you never know where that can lead you, and you can always change course and find something that you will excel in, that you will thrive in, that you can actually make a career you love in.
And you might even meet a husband there.
You might even meet a husband in there. You know, matchmaking does go on still in Ireland. You know, his two friends he shared a house set us up. So, I mean, it very much is alive and kicking. You just need to look in the right places.
It's interesting how the mind works. I mean, if you were to think of your family, was that whole sort of chemistry interest in the family, or did it come from anywhere, or it's just ignited in you for some strange reason?
Absolutely, it came nowhere. My dad was a builder. My mum was a stay-at-home mum all her life.
Right.
It was just something I was just good at, really. And I just had more of an interest in, really. So again, both of my kids are very different as well, and I never push them one way or the other, because you know what happens to all of us when we get pushed.
We push back generally.
We push back, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is what happens, but it's great to have that sort of open mind, and of course the availability of education online, and also the flexibility of parents these days to understanding that a career is not necessarily for life, not like my days when you were kind of pushed in a direction and off you go.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. Even when I look back and look at me now working in publishing, I would never have seen this for myself. I totally stumbled into it by accident, again, through chance.
Well, We're going to explore that even further in a couple of minutes. Tell me about this sort of environmental side of it. So I know you did a science degree, but what sort of lured you into the environmental side of that sector?
My first degree was in biochemistry, and really I found the chemical components of the whole science degree I really loved. But I also loved any aspect that I saw very practical, not just laboratory based, but practical applications of science in contaminated land remediation, wind farm development, renewable energy, looking at just reclaiming areas of wasteland,
Sure.
and using for construction. Air pollution control was actually one of my specialties. Wind farm air pollution models, noise modeling. I did everything for environmental impact assessments, expert witness in court,
Wow.
reports for local authorities and private businesses. Did all of that.
My God, I think the country misses you already in that sector. You know.
Thank you. I did love it because I loved not just being stuck at a desk, but actually getting out there, sleeves up and
Right.
getting to work. Absolutely.
Wow, fantastic. What an interesting area. And of course, an explosive area in terms of business that's out there. Maybe you've missed that. You've missed an opportunity.
I don't think so. I'm actually really happy now doing what I'm doing because I have a home office. I get to work my own hours, and also my own hours really suit clients' hours because I work internationally, so I work in different time zones, and I find I love I thrive on quietness, and I have complete quietness here, and I just feel I'm following my passion, and this is to me is a dream come true doing what I'm doing right now.
Fantastic, fantastic. And if you're just joining us now, you're listening to You and Your Business with me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my studio guest today is Orla Kelly. Okay, so the world of the environment, which is one you loved, you were going to have to leave behind. Maybe you might talk to our listeners about that, because so many find themselves in situations to where they have to make decisions, which maybe on the sort of surface was not one they wanted to make.
Yeah, I suppose, look, the economy was starting to change. I had a young child who was 23 months old at the time, my son, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And my son became very ill. And I remember at that time I'd cut back my hours anyway. But
Sure,
I just felt, even though I was leaving with a childminder, there was one day I remember I was leaving, I had to go to do some work. And I remember he got sick in the back of the car. And I remember passing over my child thinking, to the childminder, and I said, I'm not doing this again. I just can't do this. I was heading off to a meeting. He'd been really sick, and it was just too stressful. And I just said, this is not worth it. Now luckily he wasn't sick that long at the time, but
sure.
I gave up work to take care of him. It took him a bit long time to get better, but then I had my daughter, and it just became easier to stay at home and take care of the two of them. But I was never, even though with two young kids, you're very, very busy, I was always
Sure.
teaching myself how to do things. I was always reading widely. I was always searching for, different things on the internet that I was interested in. And, purely it was a conversation. When I was at one networking event, when I decided to dip the toe in water and see what was out there work-wise, that I told somebody how, you know, I had started writing stories for my children,
Right.
and they had asked me, Mum, could you ever print them out for us? And in my mind, I said, I can do one better. I'm going to learn how to publish them. And it was just this throwaway thought in my head
Right.
that really only came from my children that set me down this road where I actually taught myself how to publish the books and print them out on Amazon. And I just mentioned this to a person at a networking event, and they said, that's a skill in itself. You could actually publish books for other people. And
Yes.
then they told me about, how I could go about doing that. And so, my business actually then started to form. And I suppose really over the years, it's just grown through word of mouth and through testimonials and feedback. And my services have grown based on what people have wanted. And I love what I do.
Fantastic. Excuse the pun. So your children were a catalyst for change.
My children were a catalyst for change. I think they've had probably, probably more of an impact on my life than I have on theirs, you
Sure.
know. But it's been brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting that you mentioned, and this happens so many people, and I'm sure so many of our listeners are out there thinking to themselves, yes, I've had to make a career change, or I've had to sort of give up a career, maybe to devote some time to family or other commitments. But there is another life out there. And what you discovered, as you're telling me, is that you were always interested in learning. So being on the internet, and also about kind of making up stories and things like that, that it formed part of a future that you didn't recognize was there in front of you.
I never recognized, I mean, I was used to technical, analytical, but really the kids brought out this creative, expressive side of me that was absolutely dormant completely. Now, depending on who I'm working with, some clients need more the imaginative, creative, expressive side. Others maybe need more the technical, analytical aspects of me. And I like to just think I still keep all of those skills alive and not just have one side of the brain act completely take over, because I would miss the creative side of me that I don't want it to become dormant again, because I just think that's really important, our imagination and our creativity and how we express ourselves, that we are not just machines, technical analytical machines. We are far more than that.
Yeah, and I think so many people have creativity hidden within them and just need, something to draw that out. So I presume that's part of what you would help them do.
Absolutely. I always say, even if you feel it's difficult, I'd love to write a book, but I haven't the patience or the time to sit at a computer, type it all out. There are so many ways around it, and I help people on so many different levels. Some people now, they might send me some content, and I know that's not their natural style. And I always want to make their book be the best ever. So what I would do is I would read what they send me, and then I would set up an interview them, ask them the questions, then their normal conversation, the way that they deal with their clients or how they communicate naturally comes out. I transcribe it and I build all that into the book for them. So then it's almost like they have the content, they have the book
Right.
that they love, that really is expressing who they are without the tediousness or the hard work that goes into it. It's almost like a fireside chat.
Yes, and this is it. People, I think, underestimate, that the fact that they've got stories within them, that and that people will be interested in those stories.
Absolutely. And I think when you spend more time listening to the other person instead of just talking, you never know where a conversation is going to take you, because a throwaway remark could send somebody telling the most amazing story that will engage everyone. They might think, well, I didn't think much of that, but really it's what you want your reader to take away from your book, from your little stories, your life lessons, your experience, things that have gone wrong, gone right, words of wisdom. You
Yeah.
never know. And I love about that, because every book I publish, every client I work with is completely different. So I love where this whole new experience takes me every single day.
Let's just talk about the world of publishing for a minute, and just to maybe take our listeners on a journey with you, because as I think they say, everybody has a book within them.
Yes.
But and you don't have to be sort of into fiction. You could be business, it could be on serious topics, all sorts of things. Where's the starting point of all of this?
The starting point has to be a desire that you want to do it. There's no point in everyone else saying to you, oh, you should write a book. If you have no interest in it whatsoever, it's going to come out. It's going to be stagnant. It's going to be thrown together. You're not going to have interest in it. So really, you have to have that spark, that interest that, yeah, this is something I want to do. The time is now. I found during COVID, people
Right.
had time on their hands and so many books got finished. And even to this day, people come back to me and say, thank you so much for publishing my book. It's the one good thing I can say came out of COVID for me, because the book would still not have been published or finished. And I helped them do
Yeah.
that during that time. So again, it's because they had a desire to finish the book, the desire to write the book, and they put the time in. But it doesn't have to take much time. If you work with a professional, they will make the process easy and seamless. And I won't say effortless, because obviously it's your book. So it
Yes, of
has
course.
to resonate with you, and it has to be authentic for who you are and who you want to read your book and what they need to get from your book. I work with people who want win-win books, win for them and win also for the reader. That's so important. Otherwise, they could end up being just another book that's already out there.
Yes, I mean, it's a huge market out there. And I mean, if we talk about, let's just talk about revenue for a minute and managing people's expectations around that. From your own experience, just talk. I mean, there's people think I'm the next John Grisham, and maybe they are, but the chances are they're not.
Yeah, I suppose when a lot of people are very close to their book and they think, just because they publish a book, it's going to be a bestseller, but there's a lot of work goes into not just giving you a print copy of your book or getting it online. There's a whole campaign and strategy has to get built into the entire process. Everything from the title of your book, your subtitle, the categories of the book, the keywords that are relevant to the book, what people are actually searching for online when it comes to a book, how visually appealing your book even is to physically look at, and also a thumbnail view, because if you're scrolling through an online bookstore, is it
Sure.
going to stand out? And I always feel, look, you do need it, your job doesn't finish the moment you write the book. Your job is also starting, because you are the best person to talk about your book. And if you really are interested in reaching the people who, either if you're a business person, want to work with, or if you're an author, wants to grow your readership, you do need to engage with people
Sure.
on an ongoing basis and not just disappear. Yes, I can, as a publisher, I can do everything within my control to give you the best book possible, and optimize it for all the different aspects I've just talked about. But often it's the people maybe whose books may not be as good, but if they're pushing their books are going to get ahead. Their books may not be as good as your book,
Sure.
but they are out there. They are just putting in the time, engaging with people, sharing content, answering questions. And, that is part of the work that needs to be done. And I will always say that, to have realistic expectations that you will have work to do.
Let's give our audience a starting point. Okay, we'll presume they have the desire to write a book. What would you be expecting at least for them to start with? So you
Okay.
have the desire, and there's maybe, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, they have a topic, let's call it that.
Okay. Well, I
What
suppose if it's a fiction book, I would always say to somebody, get involved in a creative writing group and get peer support. Because your writing will get better when you have the peer support and when you're part of a creative writing group. Always read widely, and read each book, not just for the content of the book, but how each book is structured. Look at the best-selling authors, how they structure the books. You almost need to be a detective, whether it's a fiction book or non-fiction book. You really do need to always be looking at ways of improving your craft, looking at book covers, what's working, what's appealing about them, what's not. Look at the back cover of the text. How does it draw you into want to read the book? Okay. For non-fiction books, then really you can either write about what you're passionate about, and it may not always be what you're working in. Okay.
Sure.
But if you feel there is a definite need in the marketplace right now, that people need to know this, that you can either solve a problem, answer a question, enrich their life in some way. It doesn't always have to be in what you're working in that you're more passionate about.
Yeah.
If you are working in a field and want to build your brand, and convert more prospects to clients, then your book has to be strategic. There's
Right.
no point in saying, I want to write about this. If you're not listening, if you're not actually, seeing what your testimonials say about you, where they found most value working with you, what you do differently to other people, but also what you feel, yourself, that you love working in and do differently, because you will know how you are different to the next person and what attracts people to work with you. So you really need to marry all those skills together, but inject your personality into your book as well, not just an encyclopedia. Yes, you can still build an authority book, to showcase you and your business, but there must be no disconnect between you as a person, who
Sure.
they will be engaging with. They will be engaging with the business, but it's you as a person. who they will be engaging with first. So if there's a disconnect in the tone, the language used, the expressions, and also, how you communicate, they will think this isn't the person I got the impression from the book. So again, I need to make sure all of that is intact. So it's the real deal that the person is getting.
And if you're just joining us now, you're listening to You and Your Business with me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my studio guest today is Orla Kelly, and we're just talking about publishing. I suppose in the non-fiction section, really what we're talking about, a lot of people write a book for credibility. And it's kind of an enhanced business card, if not to downplay it too much.
It really is. And, recently I'd asked for some feedback from some of my clients, how they actually are using their business book. And they've used it in a wide range of ways. Some people actually have been blown away. They might have shared on LinkedIn about writing their book, showing pictures of the cover, and they may have gotten some engagement, but it was only when some of them actually put up, here's me, I have my book published. They started to get inquiries in through LinkedIn from people they never knew were watching them.
Sure.
And they've gotten paid speaking engagements. They've been asked to speak, at international conferences now, all online, but they're getting an awful lot more credibility. They're building their brand. They're becoming the go-to person in this particular topic, but also their book is selling really well, and they really feel that has established them for credibility. Others build courses based on their books, and
Sure.
are now running masterminds and selling courses off of their books. Others are going after more higher fee paying clients based
Yes.
on their book. Instead of just giving a proposal now, they're also sending their book. When they go to meet a prospect for lunch and they talk about a particular problem that the prospect is having, some of them are saying, well, if you actually go to chapter 3, I've that actually covered, and
Fantastic.
handing over their book. And suddenly the person's going, wow, you have a book. They're
Yes.
going to be memorable to work with and stand out from other proposals that are coming across their desk, because they actually showed how they delivered value. It's a great way of building know, like, and trust as well.
It is, and I think people underestimate the value of it. I mean, there's no doubt there is work has to go into it, and there's money has to go into it. Maybe, are you able to give any sort of broad budgets that people should be? Let's take the non-fiction side. So people are going to use a book for credibility purposes. What sort of budget should they be thinking of, at least?
If you're a business professional, you really do need to see this as an essential business expense. The way I do books and I work with authors is do it right the first time. Okay. So I don't believe in putting anything out there that I know unless it has been optimized and to give the most impact and the most value. So I find some clients are so close to their content that they don't often see things from the reader journey, the reader perspective. So I work really closely with them, and I step into the reader journey, the reader persona. So I am coming at it analytically, critically, technically, as to when I'm reading it, am I getting everything I need to get, to hear, to understand, to build a know, like, and trust factor, to make me want to take them up on their offer if there is an offer put in there, reach out to them to do a consultation call, give them my business, or even if I don't have business with them now, recommend them. So the book has to work really, really hard for them, even if it's a short book or a long book.
Mm-hmm.
Every word has to matter. So I build strategy into the content I am giving. I optimize it, I design it, I create mini workbooks, or I create upsells also for all my clients and books, and that all takes time and strategy and expertise. So really, any author would want to, if they're considering this, they would want to budget for a few €1,000 to get your books in print, get them online, get them working as an attraction type book, working for you. Once it's done right, then it's an evergreen book. It can always be updated if content is there, so you never have to fret about forgetting to acknowledge someone, or you want to put in a brilliant testimonial, or you want to update your book for something new that's come out. So your book can be fresh the whole time and be based on feedback, can be optimized all the time and updated.
Well, certainly, I think in terms of a nonfiction book, and certainly for being used as credibility, people need to invest in themselves. I mean, this is always kills me in business. People see these things as a cost. They're never a cost. They're an investment in yourself, and they're an investment in your business. So if we move to the nonfiction side, and I'm presuming we're talking about similar budgets, but it's a big marketplace out there. And I suppose in the minute and a half we've left, and don't worry, we will get your details of where to contact you. Any advice for budding fiction authors?
For budding fiction authors, I would say whatever the type of book genre you want to work in, get hold of all the bestseller books, have a look at them online. Why are they selling? Look at the reviews, both positive and negative. What do people like about the reviews? And learn from that. You know, you will see trends. If there's a particular book category, if it's psychological thriller, even in the book colors, the book cover images, you know, how the writing is, make sure that your book is going to fit in and belong on a bookshelf, if it's in a library, a bookstore, or an online bookseller. Your book has to look the part. Don't try to be too quirky or clever thinking your book will stand out if you do something different. Your book will stand out for all the wrong reasons. So again, you don't, best-selling books hire the best copywriters. Look at the copy content from both the book description and the back covers, and tweak yours to be laser targeted and intriguing to attract the person you want who will read your book. Covering pages, the opening pages, vital. If anyone is flicking through your book, that's what they will read. Make sure that's the best content and will draw people in.
Okay, Orla, as we're just running out of time, maybe you'd like to tell people where they can find out more about you.
Yes, thank you, Alec. My website is orlakellypublishing.com. And I do have a free webinar for nonfiction publishing there. But my full list of services are there. I offer a 30-minute free consultation for everybody under my contact details. And I'm happy to have an honest, frank, open conversation with anybody interested in publishing a book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Orla Kelly, for coming into the You and Your Business studio. Thanks also to Sam on Sound. The podcast Today show will be available on dublincityfm.ie from tomorrow. Thank you for your company. And please remember to join me, Alec Drew, again next week at the same time, 1 o'clock, right here on 103.2 Dublin City FM for another edition of You and Your Business.